So what's COVID done to your retirement thinking? Are you bringing forward your retirement or are you delaying your retirement? As a financial advisor and a retirement planning specialist, we've seen lots going on in the marketplace, and I'm going to share with you some of those changes today, and also the 6-step process that you need to follow in order to determine whether retiring now is right for you. So first of all, I just want to share a quick little story of a client we're working with. Unfortunately, this client is suffering from cancer, but he's coming to the end of his rigorous treatment and it looks like he's going to be okay. He's been on long-term sick leave and now he's not that keen to be returning to employment. He works in a job where he has to attend the workplace, and whilst it's supposedly a COVID secure environment, he's uneasy about mixing with people again, particularly with his low immune system. Thankfully, we've been able to put a plan together and show him and give him the confidence that actually he doesn't need to return to work. He could in fact retire now regardless of COVID. And this is also what we're seeing in the marketplace. A number of people are in fact bringing forward their retirement, retiring earlier than they thought possible. And there are a couple of reasons for this, particularly due to COVID. Obviously, the main one is by retiring now, you're going to avoid contact with people, particularly if you work at a job where you have to be in the workplace. If you have to be in the workplace, obviously, the risk of getting that virus is going to be higher with mixing with more people. And if you've got underlying health conditions, that might not be great. So by retiring now, you're going to avoid that. Obviously, we're in a difficult economic situation and many businesses are really struggling out there, and businesses are cutting back staff. Staff are usually a business's most expensive asset. So you could in fact be in line for a redundancy payout, and this redundancy payout could top your savings up just enough that you feel you could actually retire now. And also with the dire economic situation of many businesses, if you have suffered a redundancy but you find that actually the payout is not enough to make you feel confident about retiring, you may still struggle to find alternative employment with a number of businesses going bust. So you may in fact decide actually now's the time to retire because I won't be able to find any alternative employment. But let's look at the other side of it. Actually, a number of people are delaying their retirement because they feel actually retiring now is not as fun as it should be. Recent research from the Institute of Fiscal Studies found about 8% of people they surveyed were in fact thinking of delaying their retirement. And there's a number of reasons for this. We've already mentioned it. When people retire, one of the major things they want to do is sort of travel and spend lots of their leisure time going to restaurants and theatres and things like that. All these things are currently unavailable to do due to the restrictions we're all living under. So actually, retiring now is not that great fun. But what about the people that have retired? What about the people that have been retired for a while now? How have they found living in retirement? Well, research from Age UK found that 2.9 million over 70s have actually said that they've suffered a mental decline through these lockdowns. So actually, is retiring now something you want to be doing? Also, your pension's probably taken a hit due to the stock market crash that happened in March. So your savings could be less than they were a year or so ago, not giving you the confidence to retire now. Also the same for interest rates. Interest rates have hit rock bottom lows, so your interest on your savings will be much lower. And the income that you could get from an annuity from your pension will be lower because of low interest rates. And also, we've mentioned it before, redundancy. Many people are actually delaying their retirement because they're waiting for that redundancy payout. They can see it coming, and if you've worked for a company for a long time, that redundancy payment could be quite handy. But regardless of COVID and whether you're thinking of delaying or bringing forward your retirement, the process to planning your retirement is still the same. And it's a 6-step process, which I'm going to share with you now. So number one, for your retirement plan, you need to think about your lifestyle in retirement. You need to think about what you want to do in retirement. How do you want to live? Will you be doing some form of part-time work, or are you going to have a complete retirement, end of salary? If you're in a couple, will one of you stay working? When to? And what will your phase of retirement be? Now remember, your retirement is probably going to be around 30 years. So what we see is many people perhaps spend more in the early years, sort of spend less in the middle years as things become a bit more routine, and then spend even less in the later years as you sort of don't drive and don't travel as much. Or in fact, right at the end, your spending could go up due to sort of care needs. So really think about the lifestyle you want. It's your chance to plan for it. Number 2, set yourself a spending plan. Now, because you've thought about the lifestyle you want, you know roughly how much this is going to cost. Now, I appreciate that it's difficult to work out your spending with all the restrictions we're currently living under. You're probably not spending a lot. But remember, COVID's just a blip in a 30-year retirement. So you will be getting back to normal and spending soon. So think about the spending that you're going to be doing. Set yourself some targets, because this will help determine what sort of income you're going to need in retirement. And number 3, you really need to understand your pensions. So after your house, your pension is probably going to be your next biggest asset. And if you've had a number of jobs over the years, you're probably going to have a few different pensions. And there's lots of different pensions out there, all work very differently, particularly when it comes to retirement and delivering an income for you. We've recently held a pension and retirement options webinar, which goes through different types of pensions and the different types of options you've got in retirement in terms of income. So I urge you to check that webinar out. It's on our YouTube channel, and we'll put a link to it at the end of this video. Number 4, you need to get yourself an appropriate investment strategy, particularly for your pensions. The investment strategy needs to deliver the income you want at the risk that you're comfortable taking. Number 5, you need to stress test your retirement plans. So stress test your spending plan and your investment strategy. What happens if inflation is higher than you've predicted? What happens if your investment doesn't return as well as you've predicted? What happens if you spend more than you've predicted? You need to stress test these scenarios to see what happens to your plan, and then you can make adjustments accordingly. And finally, number 6, think about what would happen if you passed away earlier than planned. Are your family protected? What happens to your wealth on your death? Who does it go to? And are you paying any unnecessary taxes? I hope you found this video useful. If you want more help and support, we do have a retirement planning checklist which goes through some of the steps in more detail and provides more information. There should be a link to it on screen right now. It's a free download PDF, so you can download that and you've got that on hand. You can tick off the steps as you go through them. Until next time, stay safe, take care, speak soon.